Hey guys, hope everyone's doing well. And I figured that this was a topic that was needed to be discussed, and it's about as good a time as any to create this content and this video for you guys. And I figured it was about time to do this after looking over the prior uploads on this channel and realizing the nature of the content that I upload for you guys, and about them being tied to paranormal topics as well as to urban legends, um, mostly referring to videos that discuss like ghosts, spirits, the paranormal investigations that I've done, as well as some of the other videos that I've uploaded. So that's kind of led me to want to share some more information with you, although the information in this video is going to be more personal information as far as actually sharing personal experiences that I've had versus talking about stuff that I find online, because I want to be able to allow you guys to understand what I have experienced, to allow you to understand why I hold such an interest in paranormal discussions, paranormal topics, why I'm so interested in ghosts, spirits, and kind of wondering what causes these things to go on, and in hopes that by sharing these type of topics with you guys will allow for different types of discussions and different types of debates and agreements between people, and hopefully to create a sort of a what's the word for it, like a community around this type of stuff with you guys, and partake in these debates and topics with you guys as well. So with that being started, how long have I been interested in paranormal discussions? Well, for me it's been in about an excess of 15 years. I want to say that I've held an interest in them probably since I was about 15 or 16 years old. Um, Essentially, what it was is I started getting curious about the unknown and things that people do not have definite answers about. I mean, we all have our beliefs on what happens after someone passes, and having our own beliefs about the other side and the afterlife and ghosts and spirits. And we have people that believe on either side, but I feel like at the end of the day, no one's really had any definite proof about whether or not spirits exist or whether or not there's an afterlife. But at the same time, if you look at it on a scientific level, energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So when living beings pass away, the energy's got to go somewhere. It can't just be destroyed and end at that moment. So, with that being said, I myself have always held the belief that there is some form of a spirit or a ghost that does exist, and that has led me to start digging deeper into stories and seeing what other people have experienced, as well as what similarities there might be between these stories and locations that they're tied to. And another thing I've always wanted to learn about is the difference between something that someone might consider an intelligent haunting or more of a poltergeist type activity. Partaking in a couple paranormal investigations myself, and seeing if there's any sort of information that I could find to show evidence of spirits and ghosts actually existing, such as electronic voice phenomena, which also is known as EVP, spirit orbs, apparitions, things of that nature. And although I haven't personally caught any apparitions yet on camera or on video, or have witnessed any apparitions yet myself, I have had the opportunity to have some experiences with EVPs and spirit orbs, both of which I feel like were very exciting to experience. But mostly, the experiences didn't start out with spirit orbs or with EVPs for me. Um, most of my experiences started out more with watched feelings and seeing things get moved and things of that nature, such as my keys are set here, and instead of them staying there, I go back from later and they're sitting over on the side somewhere else instead, things like that. I do feel like having access to things like cameras and microphones and research is going to allow someone to take the time to decide for themselves what they believe in and make a choice for themselves. I'm not one that's going to try to tell you, hey, this is what you've got to believe and try to make you believe in one way or another. I just want to tell you about my interests, my experiences, and stories I find about spirits and ghosts. And regardless of my belief on the matter of the topics at hand, it's totally up to you to 100% decide at the end of the day what your beliefs are on this matter and to decide what your thoughts are on this matter. But speaking of which, do feel free to go down to the comments down below and let me know in the comments what your thoughts are and what your beliefs are when it comes to topics of the paranormal and ghosts, and what your kind of main thought process is with such experiences. And if you've had an experience yourself, feel free to let me know down there as well. So, when I was younger, and when I'm mentioning younger, I'm meaning around 15 to 16 years old because I'm getting ready to turn 32 myself. So probably about 16, would it be 16? Yeah, about 16 years ago, I started to witness some odd experiences um, that started to cause what I believe is the beginning to my paranormal experience, my paranormal interests. Although honestly, at first, I wasn't quite sure what to believe. I didn't know if I was going crazy, if I was seeing things, or not even sure if what I was witnessing was actually making any sort of sense. And I also didn't really think to check into it at first. As this was my first time experiencing stuff, I didn't really have the first thought of thinking to ask questions or try to get a reaction to see if there was actually something there. No, I want to say I was later than 15 to 16. This is probably closer to when I was 17, 18, actually, now that I think back on it. Um, I actually used to have this camera that I got to use to take photos and videos when I went on my trip to Africa. So I want to say that I was probably more closer to 17, 18 because it was the summer of like 07, 08 when this happened, or when that trip happened. And I would keep it on the shelf of my dresser in my room. And bear in mind that this is um, during a time frame that I was going through high school, so it's in the evening time frame, and I was starting to relax in the room at the time because I've got school and all that. And the way that the room was laid out is you had the door that you could come into, and my bed was set back off to the side. And the way it was set, I had the headboard where I was facing the wall here, and then when you were looking at the wall there, the door was over here on your right, and then my dresser was off to the left hand side with the shelving unit that was on top of it. And I had the camera set up on that shelf on the dresser. I think it was like two shelves up, maybe three. I can't quite remember for sure. But I wasn't looking at the camera directly. I was looking in the general direction of the camera at the time. And that's kind of when things got a little strange, because there's no real noise or indication that I was going to experience anything. Um, but the camera kind of got yanked off the shelf that it was sitting on at the time, and it ended up landing down on the floor next to, not quite next to the dresser. But the reason why I'm mentioning yanked is because the way that the shelving unit was set up with that dresser, if the camera had just lost its balance and fell off, it would have hit the dresser and bounced off of that and then hit the ground next to the dresser. But the way that the camera fell, it actually had gone completely past the dresser and landed, I think, about, if my memory serves me right, probably about 3 feet to 4 feet away from the dresser in the room. Um, and the reason why I also don't believe that the camera just happened to fall is because I had that camera sitting there all day in that same position without even touching it. So I feel like if it was one of those things where it would have lost balance, it would have lost balance earlier in the day. And I also wasn't at the dresser getting anything in or out of it, so I don't have any reason to believe that there would have been any vibrations going on with the dresser at the time to cause it to fall. And as far as I can remember, I think this is the first time that I would have experienced anything that could be considered paranormal. Um, I don't remember anything happening prior to this time frame that would have been considered paranormal. And I've noticed I've started experiencing some stuff after that as well that I have a feeling kind of led me into more paranormal experiences. And what I'm meaning is, as I'm referring to things such as like I was getting my name called when no one was around, like I'd be home completely alone and I would hear my name get called out in the house. I started getting this extremely severe watched feeling when I was home alone. And with that being said, when I was getting this extreme watched feeling, it actually got to the point where I would not really tend to spend as much time at the house when no one else was at the house because this intense watched feeling also gave me this extreme feeling of anger from whatever was watching. So I don't know what it was because whenever I'd feel it, it was only when I was home alone. I wouldn't have any family members at home with me at the time. So I don't know if it's something that could see through the windows into the house that might have been up in the woods around the house or if it was a spirit that was tied to the land. But the only thing I do wish, thinking about it now though, is that I would have had some sort of footage to provide along with telling you guys about this experience. But back then, cell phones weren't quite what they are today. Back then, it was primarily flip phones, and if you're lucky to have a flip phone with a camera on it, taking any sort of photos or anything with it was kind of like taking a photo or a video with a potato. You couldn't really um, tell what was in the photo. You couldn't. Now, the thing that I thought was weird was the fact that the main times I started to get that extreme watched feeling was mainly while I was home alone. If I had others around, I never really experienced it that much. Um, it was also kind of weird in the fact that I never really experienced it until after I had that experience with the camera flying off the dresser. So I'm not entirely sure if there's a spirit located in that house, if it would have been tied to the house or something in the house, or if it might have been tied to the land. That I'm not 100% sure. That's just something that kind of had me thinking and wondering a little bit. And then after having those experiences, kind of caused me to start digging deeper into this and diving deeper into it. I do have a Patreon for this channel as well. So if you guys are interested in supporting the channel in that manner, then feel free to go to my Patreon and consider choosing a tier that works best for you. It'll provide you with access to behind the scenes content. It'll also include exclusive live streams as well as access to polls that may allow you to help decide the future content that does show up on the channel. And with that, guys, enjoy life. Take it a day at a time. And I'll catch y'all next time.